Value and the values in values. Value and the values in values. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about values and why they're so important, but I'm going to do it from an organisational or group or network sort of setting. And I'm going to do it, I'm going to make a leap of faith as well in doing this. And the leap of faith is that if you're in a group or network now or in an organisation, that you already have a mission or a purpose that is both aspirational and has positive intent. I think those two things are really important when we're talking about success and achieving stuff. We need to come at it with a positive intent, and we need to be aspirational. So that aside, assuming that we have that, if you've got a group or a network you're part of, and you have that purpose, that mission, if you like, there are lots of ways that you could go or approach or do things to meet that purpose or mission. You can come at it from lots of different angles: left, right, up, down, south, east, north, west. You can come in straight lines, bendy lines, however it is, around the back, through the front door, whatever terminology you want to use. There are lots of ways to achieving that. What a good set of organisational values will do for you is it will give you the route, the pathway to meet your purpose or mission. And this is really, really important. That framework, if you like, to work within is really important. And one of the things that I feel that's really important about it is it brings in that element of trust, doesn't it? So if you're somebody externally looking at another organisation and perhaps you want to go to them for advice or buy services or stuff, and whatever it is that they've got, their mission and purpose and services that they sell off the back of that to meet that, if their value set doesn't fit with yours, and you're not comfortable with it, you're less likely to go to that network for advice, for buying something, or to join or be part of it. You're less likely to join it. So if you've got a network and you're a group and you've got a good set of values that you work within, it can attract, and it will attract people and business and work and all sorts of stuff like that. Another great thing about the having a good set of values that you stick to and use to work within is a framework. It is around about the people internally. So we just talked about external people, but what about those internally? What about the staff and the network members? If you have staff or network members that have bought into, believe in, adhere to and work to a set of values, corporate values, group values, network values, if they're working towards those or working within that framework, you can trust them. You can trust that they're not going to go off and do something outrageous. Oh, I've done something really outrageous to me, but it's okay. It was to meet our mission and purpose. Well, no, it's not okay. You know that if people are working within your value set, that you can trust them to get on with work. And when it comes to management and people taking ownership and being part of, people want to contribute, and trusting them to contribute is a massive part of that. The rewards when people are allowed to be creative and expressive and get on and do their own things and own what they do are massive. So getting people to work within that value set allows you to be able to do that. It's a really, really good management tool, if you like, a set of values. And there's one other thing, I guess, that as an organisation, if you're aspirational, that you'll be pushing stuff. You're not going to sit within your little box there. You're going to try and push things, stretch things, make things better. Well, there are going to be times that you need to start pushing that towards the edge and challenge things. And actually, that's where your values are really good, a really useful tool to hold up and say, well, actually, that sounds really good, but doesn't quite fit with our values, or it doesn't quite meet with them, So it's a great way of pushing out to the boundaries, being the best that you can, and making sure you've got something to hold yourself in place so you don't go past that edge, if you like. So there are some really positive reasons why we should have a really good set of values to work within as a framework for either our organisations, our groups and our networks. So clear positive intent that's aspirational, backed up by a good set of values, and hey, the world's your oyster. So if the values, though, are so important, and by the way, I would invite you to go and look up, there's loads of readings about this, and this is a very short value session, if you like. If they are so important, how come that most organisations don't use them? But we do, David. That was a huge generalisation, I know. But we can say that, at least in part, that it's true. And where's the evidence for that then? Well, there's a couple of things. If you go and look at organisations, often what they'll do is they'll micromanage. They don't trust people, you know. So those people obviously aren't working within a value set. I say obviously. Those people may not be working within a value set, you know. The risk is that they go outside of the value set and start doing things that are inappropriate for the organisation. Not having good values means that you have to micromanage. Look at the organisations that have to micromanage. That's the first thing. The second thing is ask staff, ask people. Often what you find, especially in the larger organisations, that people don't know what the organisation values are. But even if they do, and they can recite what's on the website, ask them why. And when they give you an answer, ask them why again. So let me use us as an example at Expert Link. So we're really clear about our purpose is to inspire, support, and champion co-production with the heart of lived experience, with lived experience at the heart of that. That's what we're clear about on our mission. That's what our purpose is. That's what we're trying to do. The way that we get to that, the route that we've got, is through our set of values, and we stick to them in anything that we do. So our values are humanity, honesty, and hope. So we believe in humanity. We believe in people and the potential in people. We know that to be true. I've seen incredible people who've absolutely come through challenging times, called out the guts, and they're creating so much positive stuff around them now. That's all about their potential. We believe in honesty. If you want to create change, you have to go to a place of honesty. We know that to be true because a lot of us have come from the world of recovery. And in recovery, you have to go to those dark places. Be really honest about yourself so that you can create long-term sustainable change. And hope. There's a lack of hope in our world, and all the stuff that we want to do, we want to bring hope into it. You know, so those are our values. So when you ask us, we know what they are. They have some real depth and meaning. Go to organisations, our staff and network members, you know, or group members, and actually they won't be able to tell you that in depth why they have those values, or what they're used for. Wow, they are so important. Okay. I'm not sure if I didn't mention, if you look at recruitment as well within organisations and have a look at how they recruit, often it's about skill sets and not about values. Values recruitment is more challenging, but if you recruit people, if you do value-based recruitment, what you do is you get people coming into the organisation who believe in your values, who buy into them, who will adhere to them and work within your values. That is absolutely crucial, I feel, when it comes to organisations. What we tend to do is think that we can bring someone in with skill sets and just tell them what our values are. And actually, they might go off at a tangent. It is easier to teach somebody a skill than to get somebody to believe in and take on your values after you've taken them on. It's easier to teach somebody after you've taken them on the skill sets that there might be a shortfall in, rather than the values. And that values thing, as I said, is so important when it comes to management and getting the best out of people. So all that being said, why do you think that happens then? Why do you think organisations don't have really strong values that the whole of the organisation buys into, that they and also that the whole organisation works within? Often what I've seen is the way that organisations set up their values. What tends to happen, what I've seen in the past, is a group of people sit around a table and they come up with some words. And I say words because that's what they generally are and end up being, just a bunch of words on a piece of paper. That sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good. That looks good. That's what happens. That's what. Now, I'm not saying that they're doing it that purposefully. I think that often that comes from a place of naivety. And what I mean by that is when we're coming up with these words that look good and sound good and match the organisation, if you like, and people like to hear, actually, where's the reference point for that? When we come up with those things, how do we know that it's a good value or not a good value? Where's the internal reference? And you see, for me, what I feel is, and what I see is that most people, when they talk about group values and organisational values, they don't have a reference point internally as to what a good value feels like. That whole thing about what it's like internally. They're just external words that look good. One of the things that we can do to make sure that we set up a good set of organisational values is to understand what values mean for us personally. So going on a personal values journey. So what are our personal values? What are they? Well, they're those things that keep us in check, aren't they? We know what's good and what's right and what's wrong. They're the things that motivate us and get us up and going and doing stuff, the things that we like, the things that we cherish, all of that sort of stuff. And it's really important that so if we want to achieve stuff as individuals, we might all have a purpose or a mission, as grandiose as it might be or non-grandiose. I think being a parent is a fantastic mission or purpose for someone in life. Absolutely there aren't any better, bringing someone up into this world. So that's a great purpose. But having a set of values to help you to meet that, to be a good parent or the best parent, is really, really important. And those that have good sets of values when being a parent generally tend to be evidenced. They generally tend to be the better parents because they have a good set of values, moral values, intrinsic values, whatever values you want to help them to become that parent. It's really important as well. So if we have a mission or purpose that as an individual that we have it, that we work towards, when we work towards that mission or purpose, that our values, we work within the values. So our values are very much an internal thing, and perhaps our mission and purpose is an external thing. What you could find is if you're going for this external thing, let's call it conscious. We're consciously doing this and we're going for this. What you might find is you have a battle with the internal, which might be your values and knowing what's right and wrong and whether you should or shouldn't be doing it and so on and so forth. And that battle, there's the battle between the two. Well, if your energies are fighting that battle out, they're not helping you to meet that mission or purpose, because there's that squabble going on, that tension between, that's not comfortable for me. I'm off doing this and it's not comfortable for me, and you're unlikely to be as successful as you could be at meeting that mission, whatever it is, outcome you're trying to get. Unlikely to be as successful as if you would be, as if it's sat within your value set, the way that you're doing it or whatever you're doing. Because the whole of you, or both parts, would be working toward rather than fighting. So value. Bottom line is values are really good for you as a human being. Whatever you're doing in life, they're a great thing to know and understand what your values are to help you do whatever it is that you want to do. So how do we discover our own? How do we work out what our own values are? Well, I do a very simple, short exercise with people. It's really, really simple. I think the first thing to mention is about before we go and do the exercise, is to set up the right environment. Watching Match of the Day, feeding the kids, answering emails, listening to it all at the same time is not the place to be thinking about your values. Actually, that's quite distracting. So one of the things I would encourage you to do if you're going to go ahead and work out your own values is that you create the right environment, so you get somewhere nice and quiet, uninterrupted, undisturbed, so that you can just think. And what I would also do is I would ground myself. This is what I do. I'd invite you to do the same. Is ground myself. Just take a few. Do you know, whenever I say that, just as I get to say this bit, I always smile. because this is the bit where, for me, what I do is I have internally a conversation with myself and connect with myself. And yeah, it's good. I could go on another subject here about love, but we won't. But it's about connecting internally. So I do that, ground myself, get the right environment, connect internally, make myself grounded. And then what I do, and I would invite you to do, is just to think about the things that that you cherish, the things that motivate you and drive you, things that are important to you in life, all of those things. And I would write them down on a piece of paper. I'd get a marker pen like this, and I'd get an A4 piece of paper, and I'd write the value down on it. Okay, I'm going to write one down here. I know this to be true for me because it's one of my big ones. There you go, trust. Can you see that? It says trust. That's really important. So that's what I would do, my first one. And I wouldn't fight anything. I would allow whatever's coming out to come out. Don't get into that conscious, unconscious battle. Just put it down on paper. I'll do that on my first one. And then I'll write my whatever comes next. For me, love. There you go. There's the love one. That's really important for me as a value. And I'd put that down. And I would go through and write down as many as were coming up. And I don't want to worry about the number of them. Just put down whatever's important to you. I've seen people, when we do this exercise in groups, people come out with 2 or 3 and others come out with 23. That's okay. However many you want to put down, you put it down. So that was the first thing. And the second thing that I do is I then get them. So I'll get my 2, I've got 2 here. Whoop, I've got my values, and I'll place them on the floor. And I'll place them in, what I'll be trying to do is put them into a hierarchical. So what's the most important to the least important? Left to right, up, down, whatever way you want to do it. But number 1, value, all the way down to your lowest ones. And I'll just do it automatically without thinking about it, which one appears to be right and which one sits above each one. Then here's a crucial bit. What I would do is I'd step onto each of those values and connect with that value and see if it's sat in the right place. Is it the right value? Is it a good value? Is it sat in the right place? Does it support the one above it? Should it sit above the one above it? Or should it be sat further down below? And just going through that exercise slowly, shuffling your values until you feel, you're connected to them, but they feel in the right order. And there you have it. That is your set of values, which I feel are so important and a great way to help you map out, your journey in the things that you do and meeting missions, or however as mission or purpose you have, whatever it is, whether it's little daily ones or big and almost world-changing ones, whatever ones it is, those will guide you. And one of the ways of checking this and recognizing this is if you've ever done something in your life and you thought, that gut instinct, my stomach's gone a bit tense, or that doesn't feel right, or I'm uncomfortable with this. That's because it's probably not sitting within your value set. Probably. It's a really good chance. And you probably don't want to be doing it because your values, internally, you'll be fighting against it, even if consciously you're trying to do it. So now, all the way back now to organisational values. Now, if we understand what values are and how they fit with us internally, what they feel like and how important they are, and we've done our own, all that stuff. When we come down to working out our organisational values, we've got a reference point, haven't we? So we know what's a good value or what's not a good value, or whether it's just a word that we've chucked in and chucked a few more words around it to make it look and sound good. But it doesn't have any meaning or depth. You have one now. You have a set of values, or you've got a set of individual values that you can reference against. I feel that's really important when it comes to setting organisational values. What I would also say is that I know that a lot of people out there understand about values, do their values and what have you. What I would be curious about is how that you've done them. If you've done them, sat down with just a piece of paper like this and written them down one at a time and gone, yeah, I would invite you to redo them, changing your state, i.e. standing up, writing them up on big sheets of A4, one at a time, putting them on the floor and stepping on them and connecting with them. It's a different experience doing that opposed to sitting with a little piece of paper listing out some values that you think are important to you. It's a completely different experience internally. So there you go, a short 20-minute video around values. If you want to know more about this, I'll put a link in there, email me below. We're happy to come and talk to your organisations, your groups, your networks, around setting up values and stuff like that. And what I would say actually is, when you do your values, your organisational values, be brave. Why do I say that? Often what happens when we talk about values and do group values, there are values that come up that people externally, they go, oh, can't really put that out there. An example would be love. But a really good example of being brave was down, am I allowed to mention Exeter? I think it was the chief exec of the council there, when she talked about ending homelessness and rough sleeping and street-based cultures and that. They talked about values, and she was very explicit that what she'd heard throughout the sessions, 2-day sessions of work, that love was important. She was holding that as a value to work with to end rough sleeping. Brave woman, and a great value to work to. So be brave. Take care. Love you all. Bye.